Hello, everyone. Brother Al McClain with this week's stewardship video. And before we go too far, as we always do, read the disclaimer. No advice should be seen as a recommendation or endorsement, as I am not a licensed financial advisor, and this is for educational purposes only. You want to do your own research. If you have a registered investment advisor or someone who operates in the capacity of a certified financial planner or some type of financial consultant, ask them. They're there for that. You're often paying for that. You can get recommendations from them, but this is for educational purposes. So, what inspired this video for this first one in May is our monthly breakfast for the men, which occurs at our South Lake location in South Lake, Texas. And you see some pictures over to the left of the brothers in attendance. And this subject that we're starting a series, and this is a new series on, is from our Right Now Media platform, which has videos, and it's Pastor Paul DeJong, and he's got a book entitled God, Money, and Me. And we're doing a series which is probably going to last for the next 3 or 4 months on this series. And God, Money, and Me. And I encourage you to go out. There are multiple YouTube videos of his work and his content out on YouTube. You can just do Paul DeJong, and you can see on the screenshot here I have of his book, Paul DeJong, and you just do God, Money, and Me. And in this particular video, I'm going to highlight his money myths. And that's how we started as the men. And these are myths about money that are often fostered in the secular world or even in our Christian world when it comes to finances. And I'm just going to highlight two of the ones, and we discuss actually three of them. So the two that I'm going to highlight and discuss is the first one. Money is not something we should focus on. And the second one is God's blessings are not material. Both of these are myths and not supported biblically. So let's take the first one. Money is not something we should focus on. And this comes from a view that, money is not spiritual. This is not something that we should be as Christians focused on. And there was a baseline scripture that Paul DeJong used from First Chronicles 29, and I've often quoted First Chronicles 29, 11, and 12. We're going to highlight First Chronicles 29, 12, and this is the New Living Translation. It says, wealth and honor come from you alone, for you rule over everything. And this was David speaking, by the way. Power and might are in your hand and at your discretion. People are made great and given strength. And here's the interesting thing. This is saying that God is not only our creator, but he's our sustainer and everything. And that's recognizing the sovereignty of God. He's in control of everything. Therefore, he's the owner, which is how we end each video. He controls everything and all things come from him. So if he is saying wealth and honor come from me, then we should be focused on the things that come from him and making sure that we're focused on the proper way to handle the finances and resources that he blesses us with. One of the tricks of the enemy, Satan, is to have you think, oh, well, that's unspiritual. That you should be focused on things like money. Right. The idea is we shouldn't be focusing on the love of money and other the created, which is created by the Lord, but we should be focused on the creator. And because we're focused on the creator, we're going to have the right relationship and right thinking when it comes to money. So therefore, it's okay to focus on it, right? Focus on the creator and then making sure that we're doing the things that he wants us to do in the way we focus on money. So that's the first myth. The first one, money is not something we should focus on, right? The second myth that we're going to deal with is God's blessing are not material. Now, this comes from an idea that's extremes, is the way I describe it. The extreme is the prosperity gospel, the name it and claim it. Everyone is going to have a Gulfstream. Everyone is going to be driving around in a Bentley, right? That's the extreme. That blessings are, it's all about material when it comes to God's blessing. And if you are not being blessed in that extravagant way, then something's wrong with your faith. Or typically, sometimes prosperity ministers will say, then you're not giving enough to God's kingdom, right? Manipulative. The other extreme of that is the poverty or the scarcity mentality, which says that it's spiritual to be in poverty. And I've got one word, one person in the Bible that I would throw out: Solomon, right? Solomon was one of the richest men in history, and he was rich toward God first. He asked God for wisdom, and because he asked for God on how to handle things, how to lead, how to handle and lead God's people, God said, I'm going to not only bless you with wisdom, but I'm going to give you the things that go along with it. And then I would look at Psalm 25, verses 12 and 13, which is listed here, that Paul de Jong uh, referenced in his teaching. Who then are those who fear the Lord? He will instruct them in the ways they should choose. They will spend their days in prosperity, and their descendants will inherit the land. And land is obviously a material thing. So look at these together, right? First Chronicles in the first myth, it's referencing wealth. Wealth is just not money. Wealth is actual, it's not just income. It's actually could be land. It could be your 401k. It could be uh, different resources that are used that income comes off of. So we're not just talking about your job. We're talking about the ability to have a item or a particular situation where income comes off of it, right? And in the second one, material, I would take you to um, uh, in Matthew 6, seek first the kingdom of God. If you'll look at that, Matthew 6:33, and go up to about, I think it's verse 24 or 25, it lists all these material things that are God's blessings. And it says basically that God knows you need all these things, right? It goes from everything from food to clothing, and it lists those. And then it says, but seek first. Don't seek those things to create it. Seek first the kingdom of God. In other words, relationship with God and how to do things God's way. Right. So here are just two myths that were brought, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of months, this study being rich in it. So the other thing I would say, to go all the way back to that first myth, money should not be something we focus on, is how many verses are in the Bible which are related and talking about money and possessions. And you've seen me list this before. We've got the Financial Stewardship Bible, which you can find on Amazon. It makes it easy for you. It has all of these scriptures, all 2,000. You can see at the bottom, and there's actually like 2,350, I think, is the number of scriptures that are out there related to money and possession. So, do you believe that God knew we needed very specific instruction and guidance in the area of biblical finances, in the area for our finances and how to handle it? Well, the Stewardship Bible, I saw one listed for $19 new, as low as $2.39 used. Now, that's not include shipping, right? But you can do that investment. And this Bible, it is I think it is a CEV, a Common English Version, and it's got all the scriptures highlighted, Old, New Testament. And there's even like a kind of devotional in the middle of it and reference guide. Then here's the other. Let's say you don't even want to invest $2.89. You can go out to compassfinancialministry.org, and you'll see a notation to like, and then when I went out there on, I don't know how long it's going to be out there on the website, but a little reference came up that says, if you want a guide that has all of the 2,350 verses on money and possessions, just put your email here and you can get a download. And that PDF is about, I think it's about 300 pages, right? So I wouldn't print it, but I would definitely put it. And maybe you want to, hey, take it to a print shop and get it printed, and you'll have it in your possession. Or you can email me and I'll just send it to you. All right. So let's change gears. Let's take a look at earnings for this week. So again, we're in the middle of earnings season. Last week was huge. I mean, Amazon reported, Meta reported. I think Apple, no, Apple may be in a couple of days, I mean, a couple of weeks, but it definitely, affected the market. Well, this is this week, the first full week of May. You've got Disney, that's huge, reporting. You got Uber reporting, Coinbase. It's going to be an interesting look at the cryptocurrency. We've got Shopify, ConocoPhillips, Ford reporting, Palantir. Palantir has been a great stock for some people because that's in the area of like cybersecurity. And that's been interesting for some AMD. That's in the area of technology. And you've got Marriott. It's going to be interesting how the tariffs affect something like Dutch Brothers because that's coffee, right? Carvana, right? That's the area of autos. And I think there was an announcement that there was a carve out on when it came to automobiles last week from the administration. So we're definitely in a what we call tweet-based market, meaning one tweet away. And I'm going to show you in the charts how, Liberation Day, which was like April 2nd, that's when the tariffs went on. And then this just recent announcement about China, it could be working out a deal. Didn't say a deal was worked out, but could be working out a deal, how it affected the market. All right. So one thing, again, this goes right back to the do your own research. I get these articles or I get emails from US News and World Report, and they'll throw up some lists. I love lists. You all have heard me say, and it says this one was cheap dividend stocks are under $10. And you want to definitely take notice of what this, I would almost say, disclaimer says. Unfortunately, companies often cut their dividend payments as the first line of defense when times get tough. And many dividend stocks under $10 may not be safe investments. So you want to do your own research. Here's a couple of stocks that are under $10. So this goes against the myth of you got to have a lot of money to invest in the stock market. Here are some stocks that are like $10 a share or under $10 that you could, again, do your own research on these because some of these I don't even know what they do. I think Stellantis is the that parts, and of course they'll be affected by tariffs. Kohl's, I think Kohl's was recently. I mean, it's a store. I think they were part of a group that might have declared bankruptcy. Don't take that as gospel for me. But all of these you can go to stockanalysis.com, put the symbol in and see what they do, get all kinds of research on it, or whatever your your favorite research place is. Maybe it's Yahoo Finance. And as I always like to look at the price performance, this is a service I take called Market Chameleon. Uh, there's a free part of it and there is a paid part of it. But here is year to date, right? Overall market, S&P 500, year to date, down 3%. If we stay at 5%, that's officially bear market, right? If it stays down under 5%. The areas that still seem to be doing well, consumer staples. And I read somewhere or saw something online. Dollar Tree is one of the best performing, I think, year to date. It makes sense. That's in the consumer staples. Um, Finances are still doing well. Healthcare doing well. Industrials are doing well, which is going to be interesting to see if that holds up because tariffs are probably going to be affecting that. real estate. And then the second best performing or the best performing for the year, and this makes sense, utilities. That's always a textbook historical place that people go to when markets become um, volatile or they start going down because utilities, even in the worst economy, you want to pay your water, gas, electric bill, right? Those still, and plus they play dividends typically. So that's where people tend to run. Okay, here's something to take a look at. The Federal Reserve is meeting this week. Why is this important? Because we know if there's an interest rate cut, it's fuel to the market. It pushes up. But if the market thinks there's no cut coming, it could affect the market negatively. So right now, and this is probably not going to affect the market one way or another because there's certainty there. There's a 97% chance that the Fed is not going to cut rates. So this is the current rate, right? 425 to 450, what they call basis points, right? And there it is. It's saying it's going to stay there. And this is the May 7th meeting that's upcoming. So I looked at the June 18th meeting. It really didn't even show any difference. I had to go out to the July meeting before it even showed a 55% chance that there's going to be a cut, right? Remember, current rate is 425, 450. Here it's showing a 55% because if you look at the June 18th, it's still showing, there's no a huge percent chance that it's going to change, right? So I was going to, as we always do, we look at the overall market. And I wanted to highlight this. You can see my cursor here. This was like April 2nd. I think that was April 2nd or April 3rd was the quote liberation day. That's when the tariffs went into effect. And look at that. Boom. All the way down through April 4th, just the market just crashed, right? Why? Because the tariffs being cited are like 125%, 145%, much further than the first time Donald Trump was in office because there were tariffs then, but nothing to the market nor CEO saw anything like the 125, 145, these just astronomical numbers. And that's why the market responded. Now, look how the market started coming out as it digested the tariff. And then this you can see my cursor here. This was just a tweet news of, oh, you know what? We're thinking about a deal with China. China said we're open to a deal. We want to talk, right? But there's still no deal. But look how the market, and this is showing again how we're a tweet market right now. And this is QQQ. That's technology. That's probably even more sensitive when it comes to tariffs. And here is SPY, almost mirror image, same thing. There was a quote liberation day. Market just sold off. And then now look at that. It's probably even stronger reaction to the news that there could be a deal, right? Could be a deal. And so you can imagine when there is a deal, how much the market is probably going to recover all the way back up. With that, that's this week's stewardship video. But I want to make a note. May is our pastor's anniversary with St. John, 34 years. Thank you for your leadership, Pastor Denny Dwight Davis. He fully supports, and he was one of the people that was supportive of me when I went to him. Now, probably, this was during COVID, probably 4 or 5 years ago. Said, "Hey, I want to do this." He was like, "Go for it." Go for it when it comes to the stewardship videos. And you can see if you are in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Here are the different things that we're doing. A whole month of May, we're celebrating our pastor, Denny Dwight Davis, and all the different people that are coming to celebrate. So we want to make note of that. And as always, he uses the different ways. You can go out to look at the archive of probably hundreds of videos now out on YouTube of the stewardship videos. And as we always end with, um, I reference usually Pastor Davis says, have a great week, keep a good spirit, have a yabba dabba do good time. That's his quote. And then how we always end the stewardship video with, remember, Jesus is Lord, therefore he's the owner, but we play the important role of being the faithful steward, which means what does faithful look like? Being obedient and following his principles when it comes to stewardship and biblical finances. We'll see you next week.